Hello peoples! In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Ares Inferno in the PTU and see how it does in a couple of short engagements. I will be going up against mostly small and a few medium ships, so nothing too crazy. This ship is meant to go after large targets and is a one-trick pony when doing so. It is not a solo dogfighter and should not be used as such. With support, it can be very effective so long as you have someone that can help you out when you get into a bad position with other light fighters. With that said, as always, if you like and enjoy this content, then please hit that like button, the notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget that referral code in the video description below. If you're new to Star Citizen, you'll get 5,000 free UEC when you open up a new account. Okay, grab yourself a tasty beverage. I'm thinking it's going to be sake today. A snack, I'm going to go with some fried rice that I have left over, hence the sake. Sit back, relax, and let's get to it. So first things first, we'll take a look at this in Erkul, see the stats and all that good stuff. You can see that we have the 5F7B Gatling gun. This thing is huge, size 7. Because it is a Gatling gun, you'll notice that we're going to constantly try and set our power split 50-50 between shields and maneuver. There's no reason to set any of our capacitor over to the weapon. It's not going to use it. Other than that, all of our components are going to be default. They're medium class basically, so no need to really change it out. Notice that our EM and IR signatures are through the roof, 34,000 meters. You're not going to sneak up on anybody in this thing. And don't even try. It's not meant to. It's meant to just go smash things. So for our first HRT mission, we get a Valkyrie as the primary target. This is good because the Valkyrie is kind of a little tanky target. We're going to use some Thunderbolt 3s, fire off a pair of them just to make sure the missiles are working okay. They are size 3 missiles, of course. The Valkyrie should be able to handle those without taking the shields completely down because it does have some decent shielding. And as expected, we can see here that the Valkyrie takes both of them on the chin. It does deplete the shields a little bit. They're in the red zone, but it doesn't take them totally out. So now, here's just a little hint. Do not get into a jousting match with any target. So you're going to see me start firing off this awesome size 7 Gatling gun, but I'm going to lower my speed down. As you can see there, I'm almost at 0. I don't want to allow the Valkyrie to pass by me because, again, trying to get into a turning match with a target, you're not really going to win that, unless, of course, it's a very large target. Now, the Valkyrie maneuvers like a pig just as much as the Ares does, so I'm able to keep it within my forward firing arc. And you can see, as long as you get rounds on a target, it does not last long. So the Valkyrie, poof, goes up in a big cloud of smoke as we slow it down just a little bit for the money shot. And then we get some missiles inbound from the adds that have spawned in. They're not going to be much of a problem for this ship. You do have some very beefy shields, and you can take hits that would normally cause a smaller fighter to be concerned. Now, the next target that we get here is an MD-50. This is definitely something I was interested in. You notice that I really dropped my speed down because I want to try to keep that MD-50 from getting behind me and getting into a turning match. So I'm able to keep my gun on it and do some serious damage and take it out relatively quickly. This is going to be the exception to the rule. I'm going to go after this next MD-50, and just FYI, I do have Hammer Dookie, my wingman, standing by. He's not engaging any of these targets, but I'm going to show you how you should probably handle really maneuverable targets. You notice that what I've done here is I've decoupled, I've gone in a straight line, I've set my speed up to max, and now what I'm going to try and do is deal with this MD-50 by trying to nullify its maneuver advantage. I don't want it to get into a position to be able to joust me. So as you can see here, the next little thing that kind of pops into my mind, if you notice, my targeting reticle kind of jumps all over the place. I think that's due to the flight model that the Ares currently has. It's kind of janky. I believe Avenger 1 was noting this as well in one of his videos, where he was saying that the flight model just doesn't seem to be right. As you can see here, it's very janky. I've swapped back over to lead pip now to see if it was any better, and it's not. It's very jerky all over the place. That should be much smoother transition as I'm trying to get my rounds on the target. Now I am able to hit. I'm able to keep this MD50 at bay. He's not able to really joust me or get into a turning match because of the tactic that I'm using here. I'm traveling backwards, full speed as much as I can, 887 meters per second, and I'm keeping my forward nose on him at all times. You will also know that I have eaten up most of my ammunition trying to deal with this one little MD50. And that's going to be the frustration part that you're going to run into when you're dealing with a much more maneuverable fighter than the Ares, which pretty much every fighter out there is more maneuverable than the Ares. So I'm going to try to keep peppering this guy and whittle him down. Eventually, the range opens up a little bit more. I decide to conserve my ammunition, and I will go with some missile strikes to see if I can take out this pesky little fly, just to give you an idea of what you may be in for if you engage a more maneuverable ship. This is very typical in a lot of engagements with, a small ship going after a big ship. This is a common tactic to, run your SCM speed up to max and either lob missiles like I'm trying to do here, or shoot them with your big honking gun. As you can see here, the missile misses. I'm going to fire off a couple more. They're going to keep missing. I am going to lower my speed down a little bit because I actually decided to switch my tactics up a little bit. I want to get that MD50 in a little bit closer to me to try and get some better hits on him with my main gun. Well, I should say my only gun. So again, I'm going to fire off a couple more missiles as he comes in. Again, they're going to miss because it's an MD50 and missiles just are not as accurate as one would think they would be. So here he starts swinging around. I'm able to keep with him. Now I'm being a little lazy here. I'm not banking like I should. I'm actually doing a flat yaw in a lot of cases because I was trying to concentrate on keeping my gun on the target. That's laziness on my part. It did pay off. I was able to get some rounds on him and take him out. So that's a good example of being a little lazy. You should, bank accordingly and try to use your thrusters to their most effect. So we're going to move on to the next target. This happens to be a Vanguard. Now I do think Vanguards are going to become the absolute scourge of the Ares. And the reason being is, here you can see he's firing a missile and I'm able to dodge it. I close in and I open up with my gun. I'm going to lower my speed so that he doesn't overshoot me and I can just get rounds on him and basically take him right out. As you can see, he's taking a lot of damage. He doesn't last long. But in a PvP environment, you're not going to get people to just blindly fly straight at you like this. This is good for the NPCs because they're basically doughboys. They have no brain. But in a PvP environment, that's not going to happen. They're going to stay outside your maximum effective range, which for this gun is 2,800 meters right now. Questionable. Maybe 1,800 meters is more realistic. And they're going to lob missiles at you all day and probably take you out. Particularly like a Harbinger. I can see size 5 torpedoes coming at you and taking you out real quick. So here we have another attempt by a Vanguard to fire off missiles on me. Easily dodge them with a nice corkscrew. Notice that I'm going to lower my speed down a little bit. And this particular Vanguard is not going to take any real damage until he gets within about 1,000 meters, and then I'm able to just rip him to shreds. And again, that's because the farther out they are from you, the more spread you're going to get on that Gatling gun. So in some cases it'll help you out because it's a bigger spread, kind of like a shotgun at long range, and it'll help you hit the target. And if it's a small target, even though those rounds are Gatling rounds, they still hurt because they're size 7 Gatling rounds. So here we're going to go after the two Gladiuses that show up. These guys are brain dead. They're not really maneuvering. And just to show you that it only takes a couple rounds to take out a Gladius. So if you do manage to hit a Gladius, about 5 rounds, it's done. Move on to the next target, another Gladius. This guy starts to come alive, but it's a little too late. He can't get out of the range of fire here, and we're able to pepper him too. Again, about 5 or 6 rounds, and he goes boom. So just like with other larger ships, if you use the right tactics, there will be situations where you will be able to take on smaller, more maneuverable fighters than you, but it's very situational. It's not always going to work. And in a PvP environment, don't expect it to work, because that's a different animal. So we're going to move on to our next target here. And in this one, I believe we're going up against a Hurricane, which is my favorite ship in the game right now because it is so OP'd, mostly because of the way turrets are designed to work. But it's a good test because this is probably the one fighter that most people would think can take out an Ares, either the Ion or the Inferno, with relative ease. Now, one thing you have to keep in the back of your mind is the range that size 7 Gatling has. It may say on paper that it's 2,800 meters, but in reality, as you can see, the spread is so wide here at that range, and we're at 2 kilometers as the Hurricane comes in. We're barely hitting him. We got just a couple rounds that hit, and if he's just outside that range, basically you're wasting ammo. So I'm going to lob a couple missiles at him, see if I can get him to come in close. Having a little bit of trouble with my missiles locking on and firing, but then again, this is the PTU. Hurricane makes the mistake of coming in close. That allows me to get a nice burst on him. The Hurricane is going to use some of his turret guns on me in a little bit, but again, the Ares has 2 size 2 shield generators, so you can absorb a lot of that damage, a little bit more so than one would expect. Again, I'm being a little bit lazy. If you notice the angle of the Hurricane, he is almost at a 90-degree angle to me, and I'm doing, once again, a flat yaw. I don't recommend that you do this, but I was more interested in trying to get my guns on the target. It just so happens that I am able to get my guns on him for a good burst, and he goes boom. So, again, another example, sloppy on my part, flying, but I just wanted to see if that gun could really just make up the difference and take the target out quickly, which, as you saw, it did. So now we're going to go after the 2 ads. This one here, I think towards the end, yeah, Hammer Dookie, my wingman, says, look, I'm getting bored, I'm going to engage one of them, so he fires off a couple missiles. I'm going to go after the other. I'm going to, again, try to engage with my Thunderbolts while he's at a fairly long distance of 6 kilometers as I close in. I'm not going to get too rambunctious here. Both of my missiles hit. I'm going to fire off a couple more just because I feel like it, and this is getting towards the end of the fight. Once he closes in that range, I get a nice bead on him, fire off one good burst, and down he goes. I then decide to go after Hammer Dookie's target, see if I can steal it from out underneath his nose, but he gets a missile strike off and kills it. So there you go. That's going to give you a pretty good idea of where the Ares Inferno sits, how it's going to fly. It's a beautiful looking ship. They really knocked it out of the park on the design. But again, this is a large ship, or I should say a large fighter, that is meant to do one thing and one thing very well, and that's go after very large ships, either capital ships in a group or large ships like, think Caterpillar or C2 Hercules. This thing is going to eat you alive. The gun is just freaking awesome. But it is not a dogfighter. Don't think that it's a dogfighter. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was entertaining and all that good stuff. Hope you learned something new. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you going to get it? We got IAE coming up, just a couple days away. Be a great purchase, I think. But again, use the right tool for the right job. As always, till next time, take care.